a Wikividi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Original Night Stalker. The original Night Stalker is a media epithet for an unidentified serial killer and serial rapist who committed 50 rapes in Northern California during the mid-1970s and murdered 12 people in Southern California from 1979 through 1986. Other monikers include the East Area Rapist, EAR/ONS, the Diamond Knot Killer, and the Golden State Killer. The crimes initially centered on the then unincorporated areas of Carmichael, Citrus Heights, and Rancho Cordova, all east of Sacramento, where at least 50 women were raped between June 18, 1976, and July 5, 1979. In 2001, several of the Northern California rapes were linked by DNA to murders in Southern California. All of the DNA-linked assaults occurred in Contra Costa County, but the distinctive modus operandi of the rapisto makes it very likely the same man was also responsible for the attacks in the Sacramento area. His last crime, the only one after 1981, took place in 1986. The original Night Stalker has never been apprehended. Several suspects have been cleared through DNA, alibi, or other investigative means and methods. On June 15, 2016, the FBI and local law enforcement agencies held a news conference to announce a nationwide effort and a reward for his capture. They plan to erect electronic billboards nationwide and other forms of exposure for the push. Crimes. California law enforcement authorities estimate 50 rapes in the California counties of Sacramento, Contra Costa, Stanislaus, San Joaquin, Alameda, Santa Clara and Yola were committed by the original Night Stalker. DNA evidence conclusively links him to 8 murders in Goleta, Ventura, Dana Point, and Irvine, California, with 2 other murders in Goleta linked by modus operandi, but not DNA. Some investigators also suspect the same perpetrator in 3 other murders, 2 in Rancho Cordova and 1 in Visalia. East Area Rapist crimes. The Sacramento East Area Rapist is believed to have started as a prolific burglar, only later graduating to rape. His initial modus operandi was to stalk middle-class neighborhoods at night looking for women who lived in single-story homes, generally located near a school, creek, or other open space that afforded a quick escape. He was spotted on a number of occasions, but sprinted away upon detection. On one occasion, a youth who closely pursued him was shot and seriously wounded. Most victims had seen or heard a prowler on their property before the attacks, and many had suffered break-ins. Police believed the offender had a pattern of using extensive reconnaissance on several homes in a targeted neighborhood before selecting one for attack. As part of his surveillance, the stalker was also known to call victims both before and after the night of the attack, sometimes hanging up, sometimes pretending to have the wrong number, and sometimes threatening them. In one of these messages, which was recorded by the victim in January 1978, the stalker repeats, "Gonna kill you." Although he originally targeted women either alone in their homes or with children, he later came to prefer attacking couples instead. His standard procedure was to break in and awaken the occupants, threatening them with a handgun. Victims were generally bound with ligatures that the criminal brought to the crime scene, often blindfolding and or gagging them with towels taken from the residence that he had carefully cut into strips. The female victim was made to tie up her male companion with bootlaces before being tied up herself. In many cases, these bindings were made so tightly that the victims had no feeling in their hands for hours after they were untied. He would then separate the couple, often stacking dishes on the back of the male, and telling him that if he heard the dishes rattle he would kill everyone in the house. The intruder at times spent hours in the home, ransacking closets and drawers, eating food in the kitchen, and coming back to utter more threats to the victims, who were often unsure as to whether he was still in the home. In some instances, the victims believed he had left and began to move, but he then jumped from the darkness. The perpetrator was believed to use a bicycle to travel to and from his car, and also made extensive use of parks, schoolyards, creek beds, and other open spaces that allowed him to stay off the street. FBI investigation. On June 15, 2016, the FBI released further information in relation to the crimes, including new composite sketches, and victim and investigator testimony. They also announced a reward for information leading to the conviction of the East Area Rapist. The initiative includes a national database to support law enforcement investigating the crimes and to handle tips and information. Murders of Brian and Katie Majora. On the night of February 2, 1978, a young Sacramento couple, Brian and Katie Majora, were walking their dog in the Rancho Cordova area, close to a cluster of 5 East Area Rapist attacks. A confrontation in the street caused the couple to flee, but they were chased down and shot dead. Some investigators suspected the couple had been murdered by the East Area Rapist due to the location and its vicinity to ear attacks, and the fact that one shoelace was found near the crime scene. On June 15, 2016, the FBI announced that they were confident the East Area Rapist murdered the Magyors. 1981. It is unknown how the original Night Stalker selected Domingo and Sanchez as victims. Domingo's daughter Debbie was staying with friends on the night of the attack. Her son was out of state with other family members. The home in Goleta belonged to Domingo's family, and she was staying there temporarily. The offender had entered the property via a small window in the bathroom. Sanchez had not been tied. He had been shot in the cheek, although not fatally. He was then bludgeoned to death with a garden tool taken from the property. Some believe Sanchez may have realized he was dealing with the man responsible for the murder of Offerman and Manning, and made a desperate attempt to tackle the killer rather than be tied up. As in the Offerman-Manning case, no neighbors responded to the sound of the gunshot. Sanchez's head was covered with clothes pulled from the closet. Bruises on Domingo's wrists and ankles indicated she had been tied, although the restraints were missing. She had been raped and bludgeoned. A single piece of shipping twine was found near the bed. Fibers of an unknown source were scattered over her body. 1986. These murders in Southern California were not initially thought to be connected by investigators in their respective jurisdictions. One Sacramento detective strongly believed the East Area Rapist was responsible for the Goleta attacks, but at first the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department attributed them to a local career criminal who had himself subsequently been murdered. Investigating the crimes that did not occur in Goleta caused local police to follow false leads related to men who had been close to the female victims. One suspect, later acknowledged to be innocent, was charged with 2 murders. Linking all of the cases together was achieved almost entirely by DNA testing, which was not done until many years later. Excitement's Crave, poem. December 11, 1977. In December 1977, letters were sent to the editor of the Sacramento Bee, the Sacramento mayor's office and the KV6 TV station titled Excitement's Crave, written in poem form by an individual claiming to be the East Area Rapist. It should be noted that December 11 is also the same date that a masked man, likely the original Night Stalker, eluded pursuit by multiple law enforcement personnel after he had apparently alerted authorities by telephone that he would strike on Watt Avenue that night. Though the authenticity of his authorship of the poem has never been proven, it is entirely possible that his successful evasion of the police on that morning inspired him to write it. The Homework Pages, December 9, 1978. During the investigation of the 42nd attack in Danville, investigators discovered 3 notebook pages not far from the scene of the attack, where a suspicious vehicle had reportedly been parked. First page, General Custer. Essay written on the first page is what appears to be an essay on General George Armstrong Custer. Second page, Mad is the word, journal entry. The second page contains a journal-style entry, where the author writes about a school teacher who made them write lines, and how humiliating they found the experience to be. Third page, Punishment. Map. A hand-drawn map of what appears to be a suburban neighborhood. Investigators were unable to identify the area depicted in the map. Detective Larry Poole believes the map to be a fantasy location representing the original Night Stalker's desired striking ground. I'm the East Side Rapist. Cool. March 18, 1977. On March 18, 1977, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office received 3 calls from a man claiming to be the East Area Rapist. The first 2 calls, received at 4:15 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. were identical and ended with the caller laughing and hanging up. Neither was recorded. I'm the East Side Rapist. The final call came in at 5 p.m. and was not recorded either. I'm the East Side Rapist. And I have my next victim already stalked and you guys can't catch me. The East Area Rapist would attack his 5th victim on March 18, 1977. Phone call to police, December 2, 1977. Sometime in late 1977, a man claiming to be the East Area Rapist called the Sacramento police to taunt them. The call was recorded and later released. You're never gonna catch me, East Area Rapist, you dumb fuckers, I'm gonna fuck again tonight. Careful. Merry Christmas, call, December 9, 1977. A previous victim received a phone call during the Christmas period of 1977. She identified the caller as the man who had previously attacked her. Merry Christmas, it's me again. What Avenue, call, December 10, 1977. Shortly before 10 p.m. on the night of December 10, 1977, dispatchers from the County of Sacramento's Sheriff's Department and the City of Sacramento's Police Department received calls threatening an attack on Watt Avenue. Law enforcement patrols were increased on the night of December 10 in response to the new round of calls. Sure enough, at 2:30 a.m. December 11, sheriff's deputies spotted a masked man bicycling on the Watt Avenue bridge, but he was able to elude them. He was then located again at 4:30 a.m., this time by the city police. He discarded the bike and successfully fled on foot. The bicycle was quickly determined to have been stolen in Redding, California. It is noteworthy that the Excitement's Crave poem is also linked with exactly the same date of this bike chase. I am going to hit tonight. What Avenue? Is Ray there? Call, January 2, 1978. The very first known rape victim received a wrong number call on January 2, 1978. The call was recorded, and law enforcement suspect that it may be the same caller who made a threatening call to her shortly afterward. Victim: hello? Caller: yeah. Is Ray there? Victim: pardon? Caller: is Ray there? Victim: I'm sorry. You must have the wrong number. Caller: sorry. Brought to you by Wikivideo Documentaries. Would you like to know more?